this lesson, we're going to look at what I call blues slurs. Now, that's quite a loose term, quite an ambiguous term. What I mean by that is licks that have a certain kind of liquidity to them. What I mean by that is a lot of grace notes, this kind of thing, where you've got, you know, maybe some reverse rakes and a lot of notes that kind of take the value of one beat, but there's actually a little bit more going on in terms of grace notes. So that intro solo is just a 12-bar blues in the key of G. We're gonna, I guess we'll work in the key of G for the purposes of this exercise as well, just to keep it consistent. Before we get into that, if you like this content, then please hit like and subscribe. It will really help to grow the channel. I am going to be sending a link down below to the transcription for this lesson, which will include a transcription of the intro solo and any licks that we look at, and a backing track on there as well. So if you want to get the transcription and the Guitar Pro 8 file, then click the link below. So, blues slurs. Now, I guess we should start by looking at some of the licks that are in that solo. Now, that whole solo will be transcribed. There's some stuff in there that's kind of beyond the remit of this lesson. But one of the first licks was this kind of thing. So, as you can see, there's a slide in there. This is all kind of based around G minor pentatonic. We might add a major third in there as well, just kind of G blues tonality. But there's a very kind of quick slide, pull off followed by a slide. And so much of that is in the execution. You hear B.B. King do this kind of thing. You hear John Mayer do this kind of thing. It's very kind of, you know, very kind of liquidy. I guess you could play it up here as well if you wanted to kind of play it in a different position. But that's essentially what's going on. Later on in the solo, we had a lick like this. So this is kind of Stevie Ray Vaughan inspired, I guess. So what we're doing is we're hitting the 7th of the scale, and then we're kind of picking up the flat 5, sliding it down to the 4th. I'm not talking about fret numbers, I'm talking about intervallic functions. Pulling off to the flat 3, and then to the root. We kind of have to roll the 3rd finger so you hit 6 on the B, and then roll it over to 6 on the G, slide it down 1 fret, pull off to 3, and then the root note on the G. But we're kind of doing this indiscriminate upward rake, reverse rake. And that takes a little bit of practice. It's a very, very difficult thing to teach. And it's quite a difficult thing to get into your playing initially, or it can be. It's one of those things that you get wrong until you get right. You know, it can sound really, really naff with a load of open strings in there, but it's really all about left-hand muting, or right-hand muting in my case, because I play left-handed. I just mirror these videos to make them easier for most people to follow. But yeah, just muting in your fretting hand. So once we've hit this note, you can reverse rake, use the fleshy part of your 3rd finger to mute all of the unwanted strings, so the E and the B strings. So you're only sounding the G string, but you're kind of sliding it down at the same time, or immediately after, to get that grace note. There's kind of like a sister lick to this. Very, very similar, except we're actually sliding from the 5th of the scale, or we're sliding from the flat 7 to the 5th. And you can kind of create a rolling lick. That kind of thing. That kind of thing comes up later in the solo. Going back to that first lick, just that first part, if you wanted to play it an octave lower, you'd have to, if we're in the key of G, you'd have to hit the open D string. But you can play it without the slide. And this kind of incorporates hammer-ons from nowhere. I guess without the raking, you would pick 3 on a G, and then you've got 5 on the D, pull off to 3, and then hammer on from nowhere to 5 on the A string. But with that rake, so you pick the first note, and then you just do a slightly kind of indiscriminate rake. I guess I'm doing this from the B string, but just again with the fleshy part of my third finger, I'm muting the B and the G strings, and just doing that upward rake, almost like a sweep pick, an upward sweep, pull off, and then hammer on from nowhere to the fifth of the scale. So I hear Kirk Fletcher do that kind of thing. It's, you know, it's an alternative. It's the same note, but it's a different kind of lick. So that's really cool. Another one will be, yeah, how about that? You get a flurry of notes like that. There's no raking in this. It's just a little bit of I'm picking down, hammer, and then on the B string I'm going up, and then up again to the G, pull off, and then landing on the root note. But you see what I mean by slurs? It's got that kind of, you know, just sort of grace note, ebb and flow to it. What else did I play in the intro solo? So we've got, let's just summarise. We've got that, we've got, and then that one. How about this one? That's one I use a lot. So I'm hitting a downstroke on 5 on the G, and then upstroke on 3 on the G, upstroke again on 5 on the D, pull off to 3 on the D, 5 on the A. I kind of hit that with an upstroke as well. No, I don't. I do actually, yeah. And then down, back to the root note. When I play that up here, because we have to compensate for the tuning of the B string, I find myself putting a little bit of hybrid picking in there. So I'm going down, up, pull off, down, pluck in with my middle finger, and then hammer on. I mean, even that little lick that I play coming off the back of that, it's just similar to the first lick we looked at, but it's or the second lick. It's an indiscriminate, using that word a lot today, but what I mean by that is we're not targeting specific. We're not saying, oh, I'm going to, you know, approach this from the high E string, but it's got that lazy rake. So 7 on the G, an almost immediate grace note slide down to 5, to 3 on the G. And you want to tease that slightly sharp because that's the minor third kind of coming into the major third there. So you know that kind of microtonal blue note. So you know these things they do add a certain flow to your playing, a certain kind of almost kind of Texas blues, Stevie Ray type feel. With raking, with reverse rakes, but certainly with if you've done downward rakes before, it's the sort of thing that you don't want to overuse. You know, I used to overuse them a lot, and I actually got pulled aside one time by another guitarist for doing this, because he said it sounds like a guy clearing his throat. You know, I was doing it all the time, and it was kind of my excuse was that's the way I kind of punctuate my lines, but it was kind of overkill. But it's nice to use sparingly. Something else that I consider a blues slur. It's a different thing. This is more of a bending thing. It was a lick that I played in the intro solo. It's more of this kind of quite kind of modern technique. You hear a lot of players, a lot more modern kind of blues inspired and fusion players do this kind of thing. Where I will bend, again we're still in G minor pentatonic, I'll bend 5 on the G. This sounds horrible slowed down, but so we bend up whole step, bend up whole step, we drop the bend, but when we do that we slide up 1 fret and slide down again with the same finger and pull off. Play that in any octave. So, but what I like to do sometimes is what I played on the intro solo. I went. You kind of have to move your whole body with it. And then I went to 5 on the D, back to 3 on the G, and then slid up immediately to 7 on the G and bend up a tone and a half. So we're bending to the flat 7 of the scale. And then, so I think that was the lick, which is kind of cool, you know. And you can do this. You can do this if you're kind of adding the major sixth to the scale. You can bend up half a step. So you bend the major sixth up half a step to the flat 7, back down to the 6th, and then to the 5th. Again, when I'm mentioning numbers, I'm talking about when I'm saying 5th and flat 7 and stuff. I'm talking about the intervallic functions. I'm not talking about the fret numbers. But as I say, I'll include a link to the tab in this. So all of these licks are in my vocabulary, but I'm kind of playing them off the top of my head. So hopefully I won't get to the end of this video and realise that I've missed a load out. But while we're on the subject of slidey licks, that kind of slidey type thing, here's something I like to do a lot. So it's we're going from 3 on the D, hammer to 5, and then 3, hammer to 5, pull off to 3 on the G. And then we slide up. To 5 on the G. And then you can finish the lick however you want. So there you go, those are some blues slur licks. If you want to check out an online blues guitar course, then check out my other website, which is absolutebluesguitar.com. In the meantime, take care and hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.